Let's watch Patrick Bet David masterfully tap dance around these allegations. Let's go.
When you and I become investors, and I'll call a guy that's a guy I respect a lot. He's a billionaire, and he's done a lot of deals. And he'll introduce me to a deal, and I'll get into it, and I'll put whatever, $5 million, $2 million, $500,000, $100,000. It doesn't go right. I'm the risk taker. Okay, I'm the risk taker that chose to invest into that deal. The onus is with me, the individual that chose to take the risk. So I took the risk of accepting this guy as the title sponsor. At that time, we didn't find anything. For me to apologize, it's apologizing for a mistake he made. No, what could we have done to find something else? There was nothing else to find what the guy was doing.
Well, the whole pitch of Goliath was 3 to 5% a month. That's just unsustainable. You know that. I know that. Like, everybody knows 3 to 5% a month. That doesn't happen.
There are quite a few guys in the space that do that in a way that's worked for them, that are slightly more conservative. But again, for us, when we're sitting down,
who though? Who? I don't even know who. No, I don't think that's true. I have to push back on that.
Not at a 3 to 5%, but this is not an abnormal model.
It's totally no. The pitch he was making was abnormal. When you actually looked at the pitch he was making, it was completely abnormal. It was not a normal hedge fund.
If you let me finish, I'll tell you my perspective.
Yeah.
This form is not abnormal. The numbers he chose was abnormal. I think the more now we think about it, what this guy was relying on is the following. This is my speculation, and you can you can take an angle with it or not. I think this guy was hoping that Bitcoin was going to go to $250,000 and he was going to get away with it, and it didn't. And it ended up, putting him in the situation he is right now for $328 million. This guy's going to be facing, many, many years of prison time. This is not a small little crime that he committed. So for us, if I were to tell you, hey, my guys knew and we investigated this and we knew everything about him and we did, I would apologize. We did not know.
I don't think you're apologizing because you knew. I think you're apologizing for not doing the due diligence that someone of your stature.
I've already told you, Stephen, as a leader, the way I have gotten to where I'm at in my life right now is as a leader, I take responsibility for the decisions we've made, and we have to get better when it comes down to this. So we've made the adjustment ourselves as a company. And we've had many conversations with many of the people. And trust me, it's been a lot of late night calls with a lot of different people as they're going through this. This is not a pretty situation, but there is nothing we could have done on our end. If this would have happened, let's just say this happens a week before the vault, a day before the vault, a month before the vault. We're not even going through with this. But it happened months after the vault. And there wasn't anything that we could have looked at to say, this was an issue. Again, remember, the part
I think you could have looked at his pitch deck. Hold on, I just want to go back a second. There's a few things you said. I don't want to go too far without addressing a few. So you said, look, I think he was betting on Bitcoin going up. I mean, that's not true. He was just taking in wires to Coinbase. Well, I'll tell you. Yeah, I can tell you because I looked into it. So he was just taking in money to Coinbase and just paying out people. All his story about liquidity pools, all that wasn't true. It was just a straight up Ponzi scheme. You said, there's, one thing you said is, look, I'm a leader. I have to own up to my mistake. Sometimes owning up to your mistakes is just apologizing. Again, it's not a gotcha. I really want to give you the platform because this is the first time you're addressing it to just say, hey, look, I'm not saying that you knew that it was a Ponzi scheme. It was the returns were completely unrealistic. You said that yourself. I mean, if someone can't rely on you to do that due diligence, it's just kind of like you're kind of saying you messed up without saying it, though.
That's an unfair statement to make, but you're doing your part and you're asking me the questions and I'm giving you my answer. And this is my answer to you.
Right.
Again, if I knew any of this stuff before, of course I have to apologize. If we knew and by the way, what's $1 million? Nothing to us.
So why not commit it though? But why not commit it back to the people who lost money?
Let me make my point. What I mean by this, the $1 million is spent for an event. if we knew a second before the event, this is what's going on, of course we're taking a different position. But we didn't know, Stephen. It's that simple.
So it sounds to me, though, it sounds to me like you're like, hey, look, we spent the money on the event. Too bad, so sad to the people who lost all their money.
That's not what I'm saying. No, I sympathize with everybody. I've lost money. I don't get to where I'm at without having lost money many
Did
times.
you lose money with Chris Delgado?
I didn't invest to lose money. None. And by the way, Stephen, remember this part as well. That this is very important for you to share with your audience.
The money that was paid to you was not Chris's money. Okay, if it was Chris's money, I would understand. It was other people's money.
I told you this at the beginning, Stephen.
He had stolen the money. It's stolen money you have, or your business, David Consulting has.
There's a part of this that I shared with you respectfully. I said, I have to go through certain conversations I'm having with them, and you're jumping the gun. And I said to you, there are certain things I cannot talk to you about. This is one of them. The moment we get through where we're at, you're the first phone call we're making.
I'd love to be.
To address the one question to you.
Yeah.
If we knew any information before, I wouldn't hesitate to apologize, but we didn't.
But your due diligence failed, and you recognize that. That's what you would apologize for. I'm not saying you're apologizing for knowing it's a Ponzi scheme.
I will gladly. I've already said to you, I man up on the mistake that we have to do a better job with due diligence.
Right, but you're manning up on the mistake. You're manning up on, hey, we got to do better. But you're stopping short of saying, hey, I apologize for not doing better before.
You're fairly a reasonable guy.
Yeah.
Do you think if I found anything, do you think this is worth it to me to go through this? Do you think it's worth it to me to have Stephen on Coffeezilla make a video and I'm getting video saying, hey, what charity do you have that you're getting? Do you think it's worth it for me to do this? You think the juice is worth it? Like, do you think if I knew this is who this guy was, I would have done this? What do you, Stephen, respectfully, your opinion. Do you think if I knew this guy was fraud, I'd take the money from him? Your opinion.
I think there were insufficient checks on this. And you agree with that.
The question, though, you're right, they did. Now I know.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you is the question, and see if you can, at least I've been fair with you, see if you can be fair with me.
Sure.
Do you really think if I knew this guy's a criminal, I would have taken a penny from the guy? Give me the credit there at least.
Oh, sorry.
Do you think it?
Sorry. Sorry. My alarm just went off. Sorry about that. No, I don't. I don't think that if you had known, I don't think if you had known, you would have done it. I don't think you knew. I never said I thought you knew. I said, look, you promoted a guy multiple times, turns out to run a Ponzi scheme. I'd be so, and I sense you have some, kind of embarrassment. You don't like it, but I just don't understand why it's stopping short of, hey, it just seems like the full mea culpa is not there. And I just don't really understand why. It just seems like, hey, this is the platform to address it. Kind of just, it seems like you have plenty of money. Your company has plenty of money.
I already did address it with you. So
I think we should put it to bed. I think I think you should. I think there's a very clear path to putting this whole thing to bed, saying, hey, look, I've improved my policies going forward. We're going to make it tougher to be a title sponsor. I paid back the money. And I'm sorry to the people who invested. I mean, I feel it's kind of silly because I feel like in some ways I'm advocating for your fans who might have been there and invested. Really, it's not I don't think it was probably a lot of the people who watch me that probably were invested. I think it's your fans. That's kind of why I'm surprised the pushback.
And I appreciate that. Trust me, nobody cares about my fans more than I do. And I'm telling my fans that, trust me, the people who don't, there's nothing I can do about them. But the people that have been with us for year after year after year, if they know why they keep coming back, is people trust us, the way we make decisions. If we knew anything a day before that this was going to happen, I would have never taken this money, ever. And if I did, I would have, of course, apologized. But for me to apologize means I knew who he was and I did this. No.
Or you failed to do the due diligence.
We did the due diligence. The due diligence didn't show up any red flag for us to see.
Their business model made no sense.
See what I mean? Patrick Bet David never fully melts down. He doesn't scream. He doesn't completely lose composure. And honestly, some of his individual answers sound reasonable. He's very good at that. but the overall emotional experience of the conversation still leaves you sitting there afterwards going, okay, but why does this still feel so slimy? And honestly, I think it's because most people instinctively recognize when somebody's defending themselves. And to be clear, I'm not saying Patrick Bet David orchestrated some scam. Again, if I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, that's not what this is about. But I do think some people become so good at persuasion, branding, influence, networking, controlling a narrative that eventually they start talking around situations instead of right through them. And honestly, I think a lot of people watching this conversation can feel that happening in real time. At the end of the day, I really don't think this story is about crypto. It's about something that keeps popping up more and more on this channel, credibility. Because Mr. Bet David, once millions of people trust you, your judgment becomes part of the product, whether you intended it to or not. When that gets transferred onto the wrong people, even unintentionally, then, well, technically I didn't know, eventually stops feeling emotionally sufficient to a lot of people.